Dust swirled across the parched town of Coyote Ridge as the townsfolk gathered under the blistering July sun. The dry wind carried the scent of hay, horse sweat, and something more desperate: hunger, survival, shame. A makeshift wooden platform creaked beneath the weight of trembling orphans, their eyes hollow and closed no more than rags. At the center stood a boy, no more than 10. His ribs jutted through his shirt like bones pressed under paper. He didn't cry, didn't beg. He stood still, silent, proud, but his eyes darted like a wild animal cornered. A woman's voice called out from the crowd. No family, no papers. Found half dead near Red Creek. The auctioneer barked. We'll start at $3. Who'll take him? No hands rose. He's too skinny to work, muttered a farmer. Might be trouble, said another. Look at those eyes. The crowd turned to leave, and then she raised her hand. Chapter 2. The Quiet Rancher. Clara McAllister hadn't spoken much since the war took her husband, and the prairie wolves took her infant son. She worked her land alone, ran cattle, fixed fences, and avoided towns save for essential supplies. Folks called her the Widow McAllister, though she never liked the word. She wore trousers and a worn hat, rode like a Comanche, and shot straighter than most men. But what unnerved people most wasn't her silence. It was a pain she carried like a second skin. She hadn't planned to attend the auction, but something pulled her into town that morning. When she saw the boy, something in her chest twisted. Familiar, sharp. He looked just like her son might have looked. Thin, scared, and trying to hide it. I'll take him, she said, voice flat. The townsfolk turned in stunned silence. She stepped forward, handed over the coins, and before anyone could blink, she knelt before the boy. You're safe now, she whispered, and kissed him gently on the forehead. He flinched, but didn't pull away. Chapter 3. A boy named Eli. Clara named him Eli. He didn't speak for 2 days. Just ate, drank, and watched her with those wary, stone-colored eyes. He was wild in ways she understood, twitchy, quick to bolt, unable to sleep through the night. She gave him space, let him watch her mend fences and saddle horses. Sometimes he'd quietly follow, mimicking her movements. On the 3rd night, she found him crying under the porch. Wordless sobs, fists clenched. She knelt beside him. You don't have to talk about it. I didn't mean to steal the bread, he whispered. Her chest tightened. You're not a thief. You were hungry. He shook his head. Mama died cause of me. We was running from him, the man with the scar. Clara felt ice slide through her veins. Scarred man? She asked. Eli nodded. Real bad. He said I'd pay what she owed. Clara wrapped her arms around him. He'll never find you here. But she wasn't sure if that was true. Chapter 4. The stranger rides in. Weeks passed. Eli smiled more. He rode a pony now, helped Clara with eggs and laundry, even told stories over dinner. Clara felt something stir in her, a protective fire she thought had long gone cold. Then came the stranger. He rode in just after sunset, a tall man in a black coat with a scar slicing down his cheek like a whip mark. The saloon doors creaked open, and silence fell inside. He didn't speak much, just ordered whiskey, watched, listened. Then he pinned the barkeep with a glare. Heard there's a rancher out here tooking a boy. Real skinny. Big gray eyes. The barkeep hesitated, then pointed east. Clara's ranch. Chapter 5. The Warning. Sheriff Trent knocked on Clara's door before dawn. Got a problem. Clara, he said. Man with a bounty sniffing around. Elias Trent. Calls himself a debt collector, but his real trouble. Says a woman owed him money, and now he wants a boy. Clara's hand hovered near her revolver. He'd touch Eli, she said flatly, and I'll bury him. Sheriff sighed. I figured you'd say that. Just keep your head low. Maybe he'll pass through. But Clara knew men like Elias Trent. They didn't pass through. They hunted. Chapter 6, Fire and Fury. That night, Clara didn't sleep. She oiled her rifle, laid out ammunition, and tucked Eli into the root cellar with blankets and food. If anything happens, you stay hidden. You hear me? He nodded, clutching her sleeve. Will you be okay? Clara knelt beside him. I've lost too much already. I won't lose you. The next night, Trent came. He waited until moonlight blanketed the barn, then crept through the fields. But Clara saw him coming, shadowed, patient, deadly. He made it as far as the porch. That boy's mine, he drawled. Clara stepped out, rifle leveled. His not property. You gonna die for a stray. She didn't blink. I already did. Now get off my land. He smiled, teeth yellow and crooked. Lady, you don't scare me. She pulled the trigger. The blast echoed across the plains. He staggered, arm torn by buckshot, and dropped his pistol. But he didn't fall. He rushed her. They crashed to the porch, a blur of fists and fury. He slammed her head against the rail, and stars exploded in her vision. Her hand fumbled for the knife at her boot. And then Eli screamed. It was pure, piercing, and heartbreaking. It was all Clara needed. She drove the blade into Trent's side, twisted, and shoved him off her. He collapsed, still, silent. Sheriff Trent arrived hours later. You did what had to be done, he said, staring down at the body. Clara didn't speak. She just took Eli's hand. Chapter 7, The New Dawn. The days that followed were quiet. Sheriff ruled it's self-defense, and most of the town agreed. Even the barkeep, once a coward, claimed Trent looked like trouble from the start. Eli changed after that. He slept more, laughed louder. He rode beside Clara every morning, helped feed the cattle, and carved little wooden horses by the fire. Clara changed too. The weight on her chest lifted, just a little. Sometimes she even smiled, softly, like the prairie sun at dusk. One evening, after supper, Eli tugged her hand. Am I your son now? Clara knelt, tears burning her eyes. You always were. He threw his arms around her, and for the first time in years, Clara McAllister wept, not from sorrow, but from something stronger. Hope, epilogue, redemption. Years later, they'd still talk about the widow McAllister, the woman who stood against a killer, raised a boy no one wanted, and turned silence into love. Eli grew strong, became a rancher himself, rode beside his mother through storms and seasons. And Clara? She was never alone again. She had found not just redemption, but a reason to live, and it had started with a kiss on a starving boy's forehead. In a dusty town no one remembered, where love found a way.